Hello and welcome to Who Dares Walls TV. I am your host, Mike B, and here we are again. We're just very nearly into May, actually. So been a week or two since we last got up. Everything's well here. We're all well. We're still doing our thing. I'm still working, which is nice. So yes, nothing's changed really. We're still in lockdown, still going on. Board game playing is still at a bare minimum. I haven't actually managed to get board game playing in about a week or two, which is kind of... Now, we've tried a lot of online stuff, which has been a variety of success or fail. Most of our online sessions have resulted in spending, as I've said previously, most of the evening trying to set everyone up with audio and get things working. So we've been playing a lot of Diablo 3 actually. Been playing quite a bunch of that with some of the boys. Been really enjoying that. I play it for ages, and there's lots of extra stuff on there, so that's been keeping me entertained. Tabletop Simulator, we'll come to in a minute, but I never really get on with it. Board Game Arena, I tried a couple of goes on that. I am going to play some more of that. But yeah, so generally not a lot going on. Obviously there's a bunch of content creators out there who are sat at home producing content, so good for them. But I will produce what I can when I can. So we will carry on with this. So, news. The news. So, the dreaded news that we expected was going to happen has occurred. The Expo, UK Games Expo 2020 has been cancelled. You know, I've been to every one of them for the last 6 years, maybe 7 years. So it's kind of, it's a bit of a void left. I kind of suspected it was going to happen. It seemed like it was a bit of an ask to get it to happen in August. The organisers made the sensible decision, I feel. That's it. They're canning it. So maybe there'll be some online bits and pieces created around it. There is the thoughts that maybe there would be something produced online. We might try and get some content done. Some people will try and do some stuff. So there's hope there. But yes, that my extended family I won't see this year, which is sad in some ways. But then again, I would have also wouldn't want to be in the position where potentially where we are now, people's lives could have been in jeopardy. So sensible call has been made. They have put dates for 2021. It is happening because there was a worry over the fact that with liabilities of insurance and the cost and everything else around it, could they survive to fail? You know, could they survive cancelling the show? It looks like they've obviously arranged something that they can, which is great and gratifying, and at least you know they're safe, and more importantly, the show can go on. Let's be honest, 2020 at the moment is kind of it's a wipe really. We're going to tie it off, draw a line under it. It's like, oh my God. So yeah, so who knows what other shows are going to be taking place, if any. I would say that Gen Con is unlikely to happen at this point. If it does, it's kind of reckless. And even Essen, I think, is now is probably unlikely to happen. We'll see what happens, but you know, the Expo is one of the big shows prior to the big events of Gen Con and Essen happening. The fact that they pulled themselves and moved themselves to August and have subsequently knocked it on the head kind of says it really. I think it's unlikely we're going to have any big shows this year. What that ramifications are to the industry, who really knows? Because we're probably going to come out of this and we're going to lose some publishers, but before the end of this, and that's a really sad situation. Everyone's in the same boat. I appreciate we're talking board games here. This is like this tiny fraction in that, but there's still a lot of people I know, a lot of designers I know, a lot of publishers I know. And it's sad to see happening. Hopefully they can survive this, weather the storm. But yeah, wow. So that's the big news. Expo's cancelled this year. So next year, 2021, oh boy, that's going to be a show. So yeah, you know, I feel bad for the guys who've been organising that thing. Well, yeah, what more can you say? So that's happening. Tabletop Simulator. So other news, I briefly touched on it. Tabletop Simulator is a thing I've never really got on with because I just struggle without having the tactile nature of board game, and it can be a clunky interface. I know some people get on really well with it. I'm a Luddite sometimes with these sort of things. I just really struggle with just it doesn't quite gel with me. So I kind of fight against it, and it can be a bit messy. Anyway, Tabletop Simulator. It appears that as of the last couple of days, Asmodee have essentially kind of started hitting them with cease and desist orders. Now, Tabletop Simulator is in no way linked to any publishers. I think possibly Stonemaier and a few others have had actual interfaces done for some of their games, but on the whole, a lot of the stuff on there, and there's lots and lots of stuff on there, has been created by users or whatever, and it hasn't, they've not paid any royalties or anything, and it's kind of essentially the IPs are being infringed by all these publishers. So I think there's a thread on BGG at the moment following it where this has happened. Now, there's two fences on this. Number one, as an end user, as people who, I own a bunch of Asmodee titles. So in theory, my sense of entitlement, I should be like, well, I've paid my money. I should be able to play it in whatever format I want. Okay, there is that. However, as a legal standpoint, as a lawyer hat time, Asmodee, if they don't make a move on any of this, essentially their IPs are being infringed. And if they allow it to go on and make no contest to it, then technically in the eyes of the law it kind of gives people free rein to kind of pilfer from them left, right and centre. So they need to protect their IP, which is no doubt why they've done it. It's kind of lunkheaded timing as where we are at the moment, and with the increase of people using tabletop and the tabletop and all these other things, to suddenly kind of slam a big lawyer boot down in the middle of this kind of feels, as I say, tad lunkheaded, maybe insensitive, maybe just stupid, because it's going to create what it's done is this massive backlash, and people are going to get passionate about it. So yes, personally, yes, I can see as a business standpoint where they've done it. Asmodee are now a big company, they're not a small thing, and with these monolithic companies is the bottom line, and someone somewhere has gone, our bottom line's being affected. That's what it is. Plus, they're going to be hurting. They're struggling for money. They're not producing as many games as they are. The release schedule is kind of shaky. They're not going to have the big shows to support maybe the sell-through of stuff. So I kind of get it as a business thing, why they've done it. I get it. I just think maybe the timing's poor. Maybe they could have dealt with it better. We'll see how this develops, as it is only in the last day or so this has occurred. But I suspect it's going to be a thing. So yes, there's that. We should watch and comment and see, and we'll follow Board Game Geeks thread. I'm sure we'll be on fire, dumpster fire of comments and mayhem and entitlement. So, but yeah, okay, I get it. I get why they've done it. Maybe not the best timing. So there's that. For us, Who Dares Rolls news. What's going on? Well, podcast 61 dropped yesterday. It's me and Charlie did a quick down and dirty podcast, and we just went through some stuff. Charlie went through his aircon report, and frankly, it's looking at that point in time, that's pretty much the only UK con that's going to happen this year. Potentially the only con that's going to happen this year. So you can catch up on his thoughts and opinions of his first time visiting Aircon. Great show, really enjoy it. If it was nearer to me, I'd go more often myself. But if you get a chance, maybe next year, definitely, it's a recommended, it's a decent, nice, sort of friendly, sort of smaller scale show. Feels like the Expo did about 4 or 5 years ago. But yes, so you can get that. Also, Charlie's Aircon report is on the website on Who Does Rolls. I put that out the other day, so there's a written one to go with that as well if you want to go and read it. And we discussed a bunch of other stuff on the podcast. We covered Frosthaven and Ankh and some other bits and pieces. So there's all of that. Kickstarter, as we've just mentioned that. So yeah, Frosthaven's on Kickstarter at the moment, which I backed. Me and the boys have gone in on that. Ankh, I have been on the fence sitting on that. At the moment, I have backed it at the base level. It's $100. There's obviously the grey area around Simon's legal monetary things, but that seems to have kind of been shoved to the side. We don't know. There's kind of a bit of value there. There's a lot of the plastic bling. They've bunged a few add-ons at it. None of the add-ons are enticing me in any way whatsoever. Purely going off the fact of with Rising Sun, there's a bunch of Rising Sun stuff that I've not played with or used yet. So I'm kind of reticent to go and throw more money at stuff because I don't know how much of this I will get played anyway. I like it. There's a lot of cosmetic upgrades in the stretch goals that are coming in the Kickstarter version, so it will at least bling out that base box, which you're not going to get at retail, which is predominantly why I'm kind of the old FOMO has hit, which is predominantly why I'm kind of on the going that route with it, because I did like actually a lot of the bling they gave with Rising Sun. So that's happening. The game looks okay. Nothing, I'm not been absolutely. There's some interesting things it does, and I've looked at it, and I think there's a playthrough or something. Eric's doing a live YouTube type thing next day or so. Maybe gives a bit more information on it. It's okay. It looks good. I enjoy Blood Rage. Rising Sun is a different beast. I've not played it as much as Blood Rage. This does look interesting. The mechanisms of the gods and how it's going to work out on the board sounds kind of cool. It is different. So I think to complete the trilogy and something to look forward to next year, I'm kind of in on that one at the moment. But I completely guess why people are going, oh, I don't know. So that's kind of us. That's what's us done there. There's a bunch of stuff I'm now working on. I've got geode some extra tiles and new stuff that Stuart sent me for geode, which will be coming out at some point in the year, hopefully on Kickstarter. There's some tweaks going on with that, so I've got some updated tiles and stuff. So I'm kind of going to backtracking on my review stuff I was doing for that. More stuff to film, more stuff to try and play. We'll be doing that. So once we eventually get a firm idea of what we're doing with that, then I'll produce a video for it. I've also got a couple of other bits I filmed, so I might just sit down and edit them together and get something together. What I did think we would do is just something else to add some content here. I'm going to go do 10 cultish movies, kind of on the cusp of cult movies, nerdy special movies that I think should have board games based on them. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do my top 10 nerdy, weirdy, culty, strange movies on the whole that should have board games. And why haven't they? So we'll just go down the stack here and we'll see what we get. So there, number 10 on that list is Where Eagles Dare. A classic war movie. I think it was the 70s, may even be late 60s. Clint Eastwood, Richard Burton, a bunch of other characters and cast that you will recognise probably from early 80s TV British stuff, definitely, but a bunch of British actors. But yeah, Where Eagles Dare is probably the classic, the epitome of a boy's own men on a mission adventure. Alistair MacLean, it's a cracking movie. If you've never seen this, my God, what are you missing out? So yes, basically a bunch of British commandos are sent to a Nazi stronghold, which is a castle on top of a mountain. It's got cable cars. It's just a full-on action extravaganza. It's brilliant. I loved this as a kid. Whenever it was on TV, I used to watch it. Eastwood is pretty much as cool as he could ever be in there. Especially there's a moment later in the movie where he's basically mowing down those nasty old Nazis with a couple of Sten guns, and he's just on the top of stairs. He's just like the Terminator. Really good, thrilling, good action, non-stop action. Like, it's a long movie, about 2.5 hours long, but non-stop, breakneck, really good, thrillery thing, who's the traitor, all that sort of stuff. Lots of opportunity for a game there. There's the whole, who's the Nazi double agent, there's loads of that going on in this, and you've got the whole just adventure-y sort of boy's own adventure in the castle, and lots of really cool daring do. So yeah, that's one there. Where's my Where Eagles Dare board game? Brilliant. There was, I think in the 80s, Into the Eagle's Nest, which was a kind of a video game equivalent, 8-bit video game equivalent of that, if you can find it. It was all right, but I want Where Eagles Dare. So there's that. Number 9 on the list would do Riddick. So the Riddick movies, there's a bunch of them now. The Pitch Black was brilliant. I really enjoyed that for what it did. The Chronicles of Riddick is probably a bit of a Marmite one for a lot of things, but I loved the world building and kind of it just widened this huge scope of the Riddick universe. We know that Vin Diesel's a big D&D fan, and that sort of stuff. He's a bit of a nerd in regards to that. And the Riddick movies are kind of all channeling all that. And yes, it's nonsense sci-fi, but my God, it's really, whenever Chronicles is on, if it's on TV, if I'm not watching off of here, I will watch that. It's great. There's really just a good old daring do-y sci-fi stuff. There's a big universe of stuff that they've kind of touched on this. So there's so much you could do with this, whether maybe focusing on the storylines like the Pitch Black on the planet and that sort of style of game, or just expanding it out into like a Twilight Imperium style sort of big galaxy expanding sort of stuff. There's a lot of meat here that's never really been explored. I mean, I think there's 3 movies plus the animated stuff, some video games. So there's enough there to kind of do with, and it's one I always hope they're going to do more of, or do a Amazon show or something of Riddick. But If not, if all we've got is this, I can accept it. But yeah, I think that's ripe for some really cool kind of board game stuff could happen. Either RPG, I prefer some nice big sort of board game fun. So yeah, Riddick, Chronicles of Riddick. Yes, we want some of that as a board game. So let's go really deep, nerd. This is Emperor of the North, or sometimes known as Emperor of the North Pole. It's a Robert Aldrich movie. He's the guy who directed Dirty Dozen, which it's close second behind Where It Goes There as a good action war movie, Men on the Mission. But yes, Emperor of the North. So this has got two of Hollywood's hard men there for words as Lee Marvin and Ernest Borgnine. And essentially the story is set in Depression-era America. And Borgnine is like essentially the Fant controller on a locomotive that's running through Minnesota, I think it is, if I remember rightly, who he won't let bums on his train. He will deal with them with a sledgehammer or various violent means. So he claims and he's proud of the fact that he's never had a bum on his train. Lee Marvin is number one. He is the king of the bums, and he is, the whole movie is the point of his mission is he's going to get on that train, he's going to ride it as basically the suck it to the man, and that's it. That's really the movie and the idea. And there's a conflict, and then there's these two just granite hewn monolithic sort of manly men having a fucking tussle on a train. Now that's got an opportunity. Colt Express, screw Colt Express. I want Emperor of the North. That's a great idea of an idea, isn't it? So why is there not an Emperor of the North board game? Why? And if you've not seen it, there you go. There's something you should hunt down. What else have we got? The Longer Friday, Bob Hoskins. So this is the classic, amazing British gangster movie, 1980, early 80s, cusp of 70s, 80s. Helen Mirren, a bunch of very well-known British faces you would have seen, especially some of them turned up. Alan Freeman's in it, I think, as well. Anyway, there's a bunch of guys, faces you will recognise in this thing. It's brilliantly written. It's hilarious. It's violent. It's funny, as I say. It's terrifying in places. Hoskins is just like a force to be reckoned with for this. He's amazing. It's his best role, in my opinion. Hoskins is this character. As East End mobster, all very British. It's set over a long Good Friday weekend, where his empire is essentially attacked, and we don't know why, and it's very well scripted and written as you learn what is going on and what's causing it. Cracking movie. I've seen this dozens of times. I can never get tired of watching it on Good Friday. If you've never seen it, forget Snatch, forget all the Guy Ritchie nonsense. This is the real deal. But yeah, we want a British gangster movie board game. Something like The Longer Friday would be cracking. Bob Hoskins. Whoa, yeah, brilliant. And needless to say, these are recommendations of stuff you should watch if you get a chance. Next up, Life Force. Oh my goodness. Toby Hooper, the guy who directed Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, he had a deal with Canon Films, which there's a documentary you can hunt down. I think it's Full Tilt Bilgi or something. No, that's Dustin Tall's remake. There is a Canon Films documentary in the behind the scenes of Canon and how they acted at Golden Globus and all that. Watch it. Very funny. Weird, crazy, excessive. Canon movies produced a ton of stuff in the 80s, of the epitome of the 80s movies, which were usually movies just exploitation-ish type stuff. Tits, boobs, violence, carnage, all sorts of stuff. Anyway, Hooper had a deal with them. I think it was a free picture deal to produce 3 movies. And he did Texas Chainsaw 2, he did Invaders from Mars, and amongst that was Life Force, which is based on the book. Now, Life Force, the movie, it's essentially Space Vampires was his other ongoing title. And this is just a crazy movie. It's got Patrick Stewart in it. It's got loads of buzz. It's got Matilda May, who was my kind of growing up as a young boy. My God, she spends the entire movie essentially naked as a space vampire kind of alien thing. And she is stunning. And yes, it's just insane. It's nuts, basically. The Haley's Comet comes across, they go on board, they bring these aliens back, they're space vampires, they suck your life force. It's camp, it's violent, it's got zombies, it's got some crazy special effects for its time, which still stands up pretty good today. It's all over it's madness. It did totally and utterly madness. If you've never seen Life Force, I think it's on Netflix. Watch Life Force, okay? You would not have seen a movie like it I promise you, there's no way you've seen anything even close to this movie. It is absolutely off the fucking hook, insane, deranged. It's got everything going on in it. It's, as I say, it's B movie, it's A movie, it's all over the show. Frank Finley's in it. It's just brilliant. Life Force. But I want a Life Force game. How you do that, I don't know. But yeah, crazy. Very good. Next, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So yeah, this is the 70s remake Philip Kaufman did. It's got Donald Sutherland in it. It's got a bunch of people in it, and Spock's in this as well. Crazy. Jeff Goldblum. So the Snatchers movie is the basic idea of us being invaded by pod people and cloned, essentially, and taking our identities. This is all 70s set paranoia. That style of stuff. Some very cool special effects sequences in it. Again, stands up very well for its age. Again, funny, terrifying in places. Brilliant as a movie. But yes, this is ripe for social deduction games. Something like a social deduction or something. The idea of you being simulated and taken over and not knowing it's happened or whatever. So ripe for a board game or social game. And yeah, but there hasn't been one. Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Fantastic. And this is probably the best version to watch. The 50s version is quite good. I like the black and white version. There's callbacks to it in this. But I think this stands as the best version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, in my opinion. It's got some great cast. And it's unsettling. And still, to this day, is a freaky good movie. So yes, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And yeah, that would make a really good board game. Back to the 80s, classic Buckaroo Banzai, The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai. Peter Weller, Jeff Goldblum again, Clancy Brown, good cast in there, Christopher Lloyd, loads of people. So if you've never seen Buckaroo Banzai, again, it's one of those movies that it's almost indescribable to a certain extent. It took the idea of the Doc Savage novels, which essentially a series of Doc Savage was a kind of the Man of Bronze. There was a Ron Ely movie of it in the 70s, which I kind of have a soft spot for. And essentially there was him and his team of kind of special characters. And they would go around globe-trotting, resolving stuff, something mystical, something weird, something strange, It was very cool, and a good series of books if you get a chance to track them down. Buckaroo took the idea and essentially produced a movie that, the only one of it, there's no more Buckaroo stuff, but essentially it turns up, presuming that there's this vast, huge continuity existing that no one knows about, but it just drops in throwaway stuff that link to storylines that have never been produced, never been made, but as if it's part of like a series of like 10 movies or something, and just kind of, this is like, boom. Like they made episode 4 of Star Wars, kind of, or episode 2 even, and none of the other Star Wars movies existed, but it was referencing stuff. It's kind of like that. Crazy movie, brilliant, weird, nuts, just insane. It's one you'll watch, and it's a stunningly brilliant movie. It's really well written, really well cast, directed and stuff. And as I say, if you could kind of allow it to kind of absorb you and go with the flow of this idea of this huge continuity and what doesn't exist and believe it do. Brilliant. I mean, Buckaroo Banzai is a huge universe that could be played with there, and why we've not yet had a game of it. I kind of hold hope that maybe one day we will see a Buckaroo Banzai thing, because it's very culty. But again, if it's one you've not seen, why? There we go. 70s again. Dr. Phibes. So the abominable Dr. Phibes. Vincent Price. Who doesn't like a bit of Vincent Price? Just genius. The idea is Phibes, his wife has died at the hands of surgeons, like 9 surgeons. So essentially he takes revenge on them from the grave. Very weird, very kind of psychedelic-y, that's almost 60s feel in this, set design, and gaudy and just crazy insane, violent. This predates the Saw movies, and essentially you've got a madman enacting these intricate and violent deaths on people. There was a kind of a small series of these, and they eventually became a kind of a thing. You had the Final Destination movies and Omen and stuff. But this is kind of like the forerunner to all of that sort of stuff. brilliant, weird, gaudy, strange. If they could get the aesthetic down and the feel of it and the campiness of it, then I think you could produce a really good something out of it. And it's a great movie. So I want a Dr. Phibes game, or something that kind of echoes that feel of that early British 70s movie, horror movie type stuff. I want something like that. League of Gentlemen kind of touched upon it on there, and Theatre for Blood is another good Vice movie at the same period. But yeah, people dying in extravagant ways. I want a board game somehow of that. Get on it, publishers. And what else we got there? Phantasm. So we spoke about Phantasm the other day. Phantasm is a series of 5 movies. As I say, they all pick up from one another. They tell one long, kind of coherent narrative to a certain extent. Essentially, it's about alien body snatchers from an alternate dimension. They have strange ball globes that fly through the air and suck your brains out. Midgets, a bit like Jawas. An ice cream man with a treble-powered shotgun. Just nuts. It's a weird, bizarre, dream logic series of movies. It's, again, ripe with story and stuff. And there could be, a bit like they could do with... almost with Buckaroos, is having the Eldritch Horror feel of like a map or a board and having you kind of going around tracking the tall man. Definitely ripe for some sort of board gamage fun or even an RPG. But yeah, Phantasm. Love the Phantasms. Again, a weird kind of quirky series that started in the 70s and run through pretty much to recently. There's I think total 5 movies, and they were over various decades. Various levels of quality and things, but they had just something delightfully hand-hewn and delightful. But yeah, really good series of things. If you've never seen the Phantasm movies, then you really have a big, huge gap in your filmic oeuvre. So yeah, go find that. But I want a Phantasm board game. Someone get on, and a good one. Don't fuck it up. And finally, a bit of William Friedkin, 70s again, Roy Schneider, one of my favourite actors, Sorcerer. So Sorcerer is a remake of The Wages of Fear. And The Wages of Fear was a story of basically about a bunch of scumbag characters, about 4 or 5 of them, that are transporting trucks loaded with explosive nitroglycerin, unstable nitroglycerin, across an Amazon jungle. And Friedkin went out there, and I think it's Panama or somewhere, and he filmed this movie of these guys. Bunch of, all of them scumbags, all of them with some messed up history behind them, all of them not really trusting each other, having to work together to survive this horrific ordeal of driving these trucks laden with unstable dynamite through this jungle. So think of it a bit like a really excessive Top Gear episode with not so many laughs and some crazy shit going on. There's a sequence in here where they have to take a truck across a bridge in a howling hurricane, and the bridge is like falling to bits. Madness. They filmed it for real. It happened. It's insane. It's a crazy good movie. Weird. It kind of bombed on release. But it's really Friedkin who did The Exorcist and a bunch of other stuff. The French Connection. This is kind of his masterpiece. And kind of lost. And it's available now on Blu-ray. But yeah, track down Sorcerer if you can. And this would make a fantastic board game. The idea of you travelling across the environment with these trucks and, a push your luck game. That's got some definite legs to go on there. So there you go. There is 10 culty movies that, if you've never seen any of those, then probably you should hunt them down and have a look at them, because there's some of them are very good. And more importantly, I want some board games based on them. There's some themes. Look at all the oozing with theme. All of that stuff is. So there we go. Designers, you're set at home at the moment. Not much to do. I've given you something to work with. Fantastic. Go away, work with that. You can have it for free. So there we go. There we are at the moment. Hopefully I should get actually some board games played this week. That'd be kind of cool. And stuff. I'll maybe get another podcast episode recorded next week or so. We'll get that out. Probably some stuff on the website. And things like that. So there you go. That is it. Oh, I've lost my microphone. It fell off. There we go. That is us, Who Dares Rolls. I have been Mike B, your host. Don't forget you can follow us on Twitter. You can go to the website, which is whodaresrolls.com. You can stay here in the YouTubey world, where you will see a bunch of videos of me sat here at this desk going, I've not played board games for a while. But yes, hopefully more content will produce later in the year. And that's us really done for the minute. Have fun, look after yourself, stay safe out there. Don't forget to socially distance and not to go out unless you absolutely have to. That's kind of a given, but some people aren't. And across our global community and audience, all stay safe out there. Guys, and we're hopefully be back to some form of normality at some point.